Multiplying numbers by 10. Sometimes this can seem quite easy, and very often it is if we're multiplying a whole number by 10. If you have 29 times by 10, most people will know that you can just add a 0 onto the end of the 29 and you'll get 290, which is 29 times 10. That's great, but it doesn't work with all numbers. If you were given 2.9 times by 10, and I'm going to put 2.9 into the place value column so you can see what's happening, we have 2 ones and 9 tenths. If you add a 0 onto the end of that, it makes no difference to the number. Once you're on the other side of the decimal point with the tenths and the hundredths, adding zeros onto the end of any digits won't make any difference at all. You'll still have 2 ones and 9 tenths. For this reason, children are taught to multiply by 10 by moving the digits around the decimal point. A tip here is to think how many zeros are there in the multiple of 10 I'm multiplying my number by. 10 has 1 0 in it, so if you're multiplying by 10, you move the digits one place. And because you're multiplying, your number will get bigger, so the digits will move one place to the left. That 2 ones will move into 2 tens, and that 9 tenths becomes 9 ones or 9 units. 2.9 multiplied by 10 is 29. Multiplying by 100, it's the same, except you move your digits one more place. So if we put 4.25 into the place value columns, and we're going to multiply it by 100. This time there are 2 zeros in 100, so we're going to move our digits 2 places, and they're going to get bigger because we're multiplying, so they will move to the left. The 4 will move from the ones to the hundreds, 2 tenths will move into 2 tens, so that's now worth 20, and 5 hundredths will move to become 5 ones or 5 units. 4.25 times by 100 is 425. Multiplying by 1000, 0.62 times by 1000. I'm going to put that into the place value columns. We have no units, no whole numbers. We have 6 tenths and 2 hundredths. We have less than 1. We're going to multiply it by 1000. There are 3 zeros in 1000, so we're going to move each digit 3 places higher. Now that 0 really won't matter, but I'm just going to move them all anyway, so that's moved 3 places. 6 tenths will become 6 hundredths, and 2 hundredths will become 2 tens. Because there's nothing in that ones column, we have to put a 0 in there to show there's nothing. And we don't need that 0 in the thousands column, so we can get rid of that. 0.62 times by 1000 is 620. This is really useful to know if you're calculating bigger numbers, and you might be asked to do this mentally. First, it's a good idea to know your multiplication tables up to 12 times 12 to be able to do these. If you were given the problem 120 times 9, you might think, oh, I'm going to struggle with that. But if I just move that out of the way for a moment, if you know your multiplication tables and you know how to multiply numbers by 10, you can use that knowledge to work out much bigger calculations. 120 times 9 is going to be 10 times bigger than 12 times 9, because 120 is 10 times bigger than 12. If 12 times 9 is 108, then 120 times 9 is going to be 10 times bigger than 108, which is 1080. If this time we keep the 12 and we multiply the 9 by 10 to make it 12 times 90, our answer is going to be 10 times bigger than 12 times 9. That will be 1080. Once you're able to do that, you can then understand how to make the numbers even bigger. So for example, you might be asked to multiply 120 by 90, and this time you can see that both sides have been multiplied by 10, and if both sides have been multiplied by 10, the whole thing has been multiplied by 100. So your answer would be 10,800. Very quickly, one for you to have a go at. 8 times 9, that's 72. And if you know that, what's 80 times 9? What's 8 times 90? And what's 80 times 90? Pause the video, have a go. 80 is 10 times bigger than 8, so the answer is going to be 10 times bigger than 72. 80 times 9 is 720. The same with 8 times 90. We know that 8 times 9 is 72. If we've multiplied the 9 by 10, then our answer must also be multiplied by 10. 8 times 90 will be 720. And then we can apply this again to 80 times 90. And that will be 7,200. If you want to know even more about multiplication, visit my website cambridge-tutor.co.uk.